Review number 1. If you are buying these, then you already know what an ESE pod is, and for those that don't, this is how this illy product is packaged on this page. I read quite a few reviews that didn't understand what an ESE pod was. Easy Serving Espresso, ESE, espresso pods, are coffee filter-like paper pouches filled with fine ground coffee and made to the Easy Serving Espresso Consortium standard. The single-serving espresso pod is roughly 45 mm in diameter and contains approximately 7 grams, give or take, of ground, roasted coffee. Espresso pods are produced by all the large roasters in Italy, and even some of the smaller boutique roasters offer their coffee in pod form now. Please keep in mind, you need an espresso maker that can utilize these type of pods because they require a special portafilter to extract all the flavor out of the pod. By all means, you can put one of these pods in a single serving sized insert for the portafilter on your espresso maker, but unless it says SA compatible, it will not extract all the flavor from the grounds needed to create a decent espresso. As for the flavor of this illy black espresso pod, not bad at all. When you consider the time it takes to make a regular espresso with the grinding, tamping, the extraction, and subsequent cleanup, these are very good flavor-wise when you factor in the convenience aspect. It's all about expectations when dealing with espresso and all these pods and capsules. You can't buy any of these convenient options and expect it to taste like an espresso correctly made at a coffee shop. These black pods make a very nice, rich, robust flavored espresso and produce a good amount of crema. You can use just one of these to create a 12 to 14 ounces latte or cappuccino without a problem. Those who like a darker blended drink need only use 2 shots per serving. They stay fresh for about a week and then you can start to taste the difference, but honestly, the first espresso you make out of a fresh can is the best. At that point the flavor diminishes little by little no matter how airtight the container is that you store them in, just like Illy's ground bagged espresso coffees. Pros: 1. Good quality coffee used in the pods. 2. Convenience. 3. Easy cleanup. Cons: 1. You need a ESE compatible machine. 2. A sacrifice in flavor using these pods over a coffee shop made version. 3. Short freshness window. All things considered, I always keep them on hand for when a quick espresso is needed to make a cappuccino or latte, which is my primary use of them. Seldom do I use them to drink a shot straight up. I only do that at the time I open a fresh can. P.S. I would like to add, for the folks out there that have a good quality Italian-built espresso maker who are accustomed to grinding their own beans, correctly tamping the grinds, temp surfing to get the perfect water, and then perform the right amount of time for the extraction, and whose machine included an ESE pod adapter for the portafilter, tread lightly here. While these are very convenient, these espresso pods will never measure up to the full-blown version. But, if you lower your expectations and balance that with the convenience they provide, these are a great complement to grinding your own beans. Review number 2. Our office recently, and possibly misguidedly, voted a Starbucks machine off the island and replaced it with a couple of Bun Airpot makers. They're great for commercial coffee, but that is also the problem. It tastes like mediocre diner coffee even when good beans are used. So I've taken matters into my own hands and picked up an illy Caffe Novecento espresso maker and have put it in the kitchen on loan to the company. My first few attempts at pulling a decent shot with fresh ground coffee convinced me that I simply don't have the patience to learn the proper techniques, so, as the machine came with a pod portafilter, I decided to give that a shot, so to speak. Illy had the highest number of positive recommendations, so I settled on them for my initial foray. Simply put, I am impressed. The flavor is excellent, the output takes in the ballpark of 20 to 30 seconds a shot and has very good crema on about 3 out of every 4 shots. It can be tricky to properly seat the pod in the portafilter, but moistening the pod first does help, and that's a more a reflection on the filter design than the pods. The primary reason I can't give 5 stars, although I'd do 4.5 if I could, is that even the Amazon price works out to almost $1 a shot, so my double Americano in the morning is only slightly less than I'd pay my favorite barista. And she has a really cute smile. All in all, though, a very positive experience, and I recommend the illy pods. Review number 3. I'm pretty particular about my espresso and I much prefer fresh ground to the pods. But fresh ground is messy and takes more time. I have tried a bunch of different pods on the market. These are by far the best I've had. They give a rich, bold flavor that's still smooth and enjoyable. Compared to the Starbucks pods, these are 1 star above at least. They are a bit more expensive, but after going back and forth between these, the Starbucks ones, and a few other brands, the price difference per pod is usually no more than 20 cents. In my opinion, it is well worth the extra 20 cents for a delicious cup of espresso. Often better even than what I get at various coffee shops. If you're an everyday espresso/latte/cappuccino drinker, then you will appreciate the subtle yet noticeable higher quality of these pods. Review number 4. Because of time constraints in the morning, I've been trying different SA pods. These blew me away. Maybe I got a fresh batch, but I am having a tough time distinguishing these from my fresh ground beans. Rich, flavorful and lots of crema. Very robusto. Makes a superb latte. Stands up well in the steamed milk. Price-wise, I save a bit versus stopping for a grande Starbucks latte and get a much better flavor. One tip. I read this in another review, and I'll confirm that dampening the pod before use works well for me for the best seal and pull. Regarding some of the comparisons to Starbucks in other reviews, I've tried both at home, and to me the Starbucks doesn't come close. Review number 5. Illy dark roast pods provide a great tasting cup of espresso with crema and without the mess of cleaning up all those grounds. The tin packaging is compact for easy storage, but I recommend keeping the opened pods in a vacuum container to maintain freshness. If you're willing to invest in 2 18-pod tins, you can't beat the price on Amazon. For a slightly different great taste and individual packaging to maintain freshness, try Espresso as an alternative, though the individual packaging requires additional storage space in your cupboard. Review number 6. People used to the usual American burnt espresso, aka Starbucks, need to taste Illy's coffee. Also, the pod system works well to deliver consistency for those less inclined to fuss over their own grind and temp. The consistent quality of the espresso is high, and together with the convenience, it's a winner for all but the snootiest, for whom nothing but their own recipe will have been satisfactory anyway. Review number 1. If you are buying these, then you already know what an ESE pod is, and for those that don't, this is how this Illy product is packaged on this page. I read quite a few reviews that didn't understand what an ESE pod was. Easy Serving Espresso, ESE, espresso pods, are coffee filter-like paper pouches filled with fine ground coffee and made to the Easy Serving Espresso Consortium standard. The single-serving espresso pod is roughly 45 mm in diameter and contains approximately 7 grams, give or take, of ground, roasted coffee. Espresso pods are produced by all the large roasters in Italy, and even some of the smaller boutique roasters offer their coffee in pod form now.